Nobody else had requested an opportunity to speak on this question by members of the council. Don?
Yeah, so the exhibit that's in our packet says draft for discussion purposes only. Is that for today's discussion purposes only? And then
Correct.
This would become... Okay, and so those notations would still be there in those boxes?
I think what we would end up with, this was to illustrate to you how we had identified the areas that were proposed. But I think we would have a single map that would show the areas where setback levies would need to be studied.
Were the words legible or semi-legible?
I think that the detail about how each area is identified
Right.
would no longer be part of the exhibit. And as we revise the narrative of the plan, we would identify the high priorities for salmon and steelhead habitat in these areas and the relationship to the Paradise Cut
Questions?
bypass.
Any questions? Mr. Johnston? Mr. Natoli?
Yeah, just one back to the map, though. So the refined map would be submitted by DWR at a later date? Or
No, it would be this map without the little text boxes that explain the reasons. Okay.
And probably not with an orange color for Paradise Cut.
And so just a follow-on then to how has it been addressed then if you, with the remaining definition that would be in this map and the language regarding setback levies, that would be taken into account that the RDs, for example, are they still going to have to incur the cost, though, if they're in those green-lined areas? They have to do the analysis irrespective of what their financial situation is or anything else.
The agency proposing the levy improvements, which in many cases wouldn't be a reclamation district on the project levies, would be the one that would need to study the feasibility of setting back. For example, I know the recent studies that the Department of Water Resources has done on setback levies on Staten Island weren't paid for by the RD, they were paid for by the Department of Water Resources. Similarly, levies have recently been set back on RD 341 and RD 1601 out in the western delta, and the Department of Water Resources was able to provide them 100% of the costs of that work. Actually, right now, the existing regulations for the Department of Water Resources, a grant program, provide that local reclamation districts are eligible for an increase of up to 40% in the base funding that would otherwise be available for a project if they incorporate appropriate habitat restoration provisions. And the department can even waive that limitation and provide additional funds where needed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Johnston? Motion to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Fiorini, discussion? Starting with Mr. Johnston.
Fiorini, aye.
Eisenberg, aye.
Totally aye.
Okay, we've got 4 votes for it, so it's adopted. 1 abstention. Ms. Gray is forced to periodically get up and walk because of her surgery, so when she comes back, we'll give her the opportunity to add on. Mr. Fiorini was out of the room on the previous one. ERP3, Mr. Fiorini passed 4-0, 1 abstention. Do you wish to add on?
Fiorini, aye.
Fiorini, aye. On the previous item, ERP3, 5-0. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Members, if you would now go, please, to page 8, ERP 5 up on top. ERP 5 up on top.
The simplest of revisions to this rule, which is intended to make sure people are being attentive to the opportunities.
This is invasive species now.
Yeah, and somebody pointed out we wanted to make sure that we were talking about not corn or wine grapes, but invasive species. The issue is not that they're non-native, but it's that they're invasive. So we're suggesting a change in the title.
Okay. Members, no one from the public is asked to talk on this particular item. Any questions by members? Any questions? All right, motion. Mr. Johnston, second.